welcome you all to the Wizard of Whole Brain Notes, which is a very unique and innovative concept brought out by OnlySuccess Leadership Academy. And I am glad to present you what this concept is all about so that you understand better and you can participate well. And all the best for you in the competition. So before I start, why this whole brain notes? Notes making is one of the most important skill every student must learn, which is ignored a lot. So that is why this idea had come up. Why don't we have some focus on note making skill? Because we do work with children and we work with various ways on how to study. And one of the key skills required for every student is how to make notes, because every person's mind thinks very differently. So what happens in school, when you make notes, we all make notes in the same way, which is not agreeable because every child thinks very differently. So that is the reason why this concept of whole brain notes making had been conceived. So taking you through what this is, why notes? Because as a student, I'm sure you cannot read the entire textbook, right? So when it comes to exam, they do not expect you to write everything what is there in the textbook. So it is very important that you should be able to isolate the most important and relevant information from the textbook and make it into a notes. That is why notes making becomes very, very important, right? And this can be easily achieved through the skill of notes making. And good notes making habit will help you to train your mind, because when you learn how to make notes, you will develop an insightful mind, because you need to understand the concept well. That is the reason why once you make it a habit, your mind also starts thinking critically. So that is one of the reasons why we thought notes making should be given a lot of importance. And apart from that, note making also will help you to concentrate well, obviously, because when you are reading or when you are watching or when you are listening to a lecture, definitely you need to understand well. So your focus will also improve as you start making notes. Noting things, how it helps you, because when you make notes, you need to think and you need to create your own notes, which means you are rearranging the words in the way you understand well. So what happens, the understanding of the concept also improves once you start developing this note making skill. Normally how we make notes, the general way, or it is the most acceptable way of notes making as of now, is linear way of notes making, where how you do it, you all know, you take important information and then you present it in the form of points or bullet points or numbers. Certain times certain students also go to the extent of underlining some points or putting 2 or 3 stars, which will help them to understand which is the most important key information in the entire notes. So this is called linear way of making notes. So when you make linear way, so what happens, if you look at the slide, I have given you an example where you keep it point wise, you present relevant information. So what is the limitations of using these notes? Because once you start using this kind of notes, so if you want to by chance, say for example you found something more important and you want to insert into the notes, so you literally have to struggle to insert because there is no place. Otherwise you need to rewrite the entire thing, right? So which takes a lot of your time. And apart from that, it becomes repetitive. So once you start reading it, it becomes again point wise, you go through the same thing again and again. It becomes very boring. Anything that becomes repetitive, it becomes very boring. And apart from that, if you look at a linear way of notes making, it is not very good. It will not give you the bigger picture of what you are actually reading, right? So that is one of the limitations. And apart from that, certain times, the most important information, it gets lost because you are doing it in points, so you will not know which is the most important information. So sometimes, its complexity is actually reduced because of that. And also apart from that, when you start using linear way of making notes, it actually uses your left part of the brain, right? So which is logical. And what happens, the other part, which is also more important, which is the right part of your brain, will not be used when you do the linear way of notes making, and because of that it becomes very, very boring. Right? And moving on to the next slide, if you ask me what is whole brain notes, right? First of all, let us understand what is whole brain. we have two parts in our brain, which is one is called left hemisphere, the other one is called right hemisphere. So if you look at the functions of left hemisphere, it is more to do with language, more to do with sequencing, more to do with analyzing information. All these functions are carried out by left brain. If you look at the functions of right hemisphere wants colors, it wants big picture, it wants to have overview. So all these things come under right brain. So whole brain nodes involves using both. The moment you start engaging both left and right brain, what study says? Study says that it will maximize your engagement, and because it focuses on the way your brain really functions. So that is the reason why whole brain nodes is gaining a lot of importance now. One person who has popularized this a lot is none other than Mr. Tony Buzan. I'm sure you would have heard about him. So he had a lot of books in how to create whole brain nodes or how to create mind maps. So you could also refer to them to give you better ideas about whole brain notes making. And it utilizes both logical left and creative right side of your brain. So it encourages active learning, right? So this is why we thought of conceiving this whole brain nodes, an exhibition on whole brain nodes. Apart from that, how the whole brain nodes help you? Keyword nodes that are mapped out non-hierarchically. Because normally what you do it hierarchically, where you gave the main points at the top and then you come with the sub points under. Whole brain nodes do not follow the hierarchy. So what it does, it is non-hierarchical, which means there is some pattern which you can follow. I will definitely give you inputs on how to create a pattern nodes, and it gives you, because of this, since it is non-hierarchical, at any point in time if you want to enter more information, it becomes very easy for you. A large volume of text, you can actually condense it into simple graphics, and because of this, once you condense a lot of information into simple small graphical form, a pattern, what happens, you will get a big picture, which is again a function of right brain, and that becomes easier for you to understand. And apart from that, it allows you to play with notes, right? So when you play with your own notes, when you're making your notes, so when you start using your right brain, since you're using your creative mind, it allows you to play with it. So once you start playing with your own notes, it actually gives you more interest, right? So it makes it very, very interesting. So the element of boredom will not come into your whole brain notes. And apart from that, it allows you to rearrange information, because normally how you present information, you present it in a linear way, so because of which you cannot rearrange too much. But with whole brain nodes, you have a choice to rearrange things in the way you want to, which means it will exactly follow your mind. So it is very easy for you to recollect and then reproduce it during the examinations, right? So how to actually create whole brain nodes? So whole brain nodes, I will give you certain inputs, and you could use your creative mind to make it even more better. I'm sure every student has a lot of creativity, so you can actually use more of your creativity to make it very, very attractive to your mind. So what you need to do, first, you need to take headings of a chapter. Definitely when you take up any chapter, say you are writing about a leader, right? So you need to have certain headings about the leader. So which means where the leader is born, and how was his early childhood, and where did he study, and what was his ambition, what was his difficulty he faced. So all these things are called subheadings, so which you should use it. And also examples, illustrations, names, whatever you want, you could actually first isolate them from the textbook and then come out with an outstanding structure, right, which is easy to read. Say you could come up with a pattern, how you are going to present all this key information. So think of it, come out with a pattern and come out with lot of colors, because that is one of the important functions of your right brain. And also apart from that, you could use numbering, you could use the arrows the way you want to create more and more associations, because every concept is associated with some other concept, right? And also make it very, very outstanding. and things that make notes memorable. Like for example, you can bring in a lot of cartoons, some fun. So you are welcome to do the way you want to. And also remember, our brain works with, our memory works with associations. Say for example, if you want to memorize well, you need to associate with something you already know. Right? So it is very important to create associations between keywords with the help of arrows. So that is also becomes a part of whole brain notes. And let me give you some examples of whole brain notes. So say for example, let us take this notes making. So the pattern which I would like to create, so I am going to make notes now. So I will have some picture here and some colors here so that it becomes very, very interesting, right? And then notes. First, why notes? So I'm going to write more points about why notes, because notes gives me condensed information. It helps me to memorize. It helps me to present the information effectively. And then where I must make notes? When I read lessons or when I listen to the lectures in the class, right? And also how am I going to, how do we make notes? We make notes in linear ways. We can make notes in whole brain way. And then it goes on and on like this. So this is how you create whole brain notes. The ideas are, there is no limit to the ideas. Once you start using your right brain, it becomes, your opportunities are many, right? And let me give you some examples what I have created for you to see. Say for example, this is one type of whole brain notes. So this is again about, this is made by some of the students using pictures. You can see colors, see the way they have associated things with each other with the help of arrows and things like that. And certain times abbreviations. Make sure that abbreviations you are using, you already know it. That is very important. So these kind of things you can do here. So these are two notes which I have just put for you to see so that you could understand how to create a whole brain notes. And I also have certain patterns. So let me move on to the next slide where I will show you some patterns which you could use, or you could use even different patterns. So these are all ways by which you could use different patterns to express your whole brain notes. And make sure that you are bringing in pictures also, because that is very, very important. And moving on, let me also show you certain other ways of making whole brain notes. Say for example, this is called mapping with the whole brain. So this is again a concept popularized by Mr. Tony Buzan, as already expressed. So this is again, if you look at it, when you create a whole brain note, he always says our brain, it works in a different fashion, so your note must match it. So ensure that your heading starts in the middle, and then you could branch out in different directions. So as you can see in some of the pictures which are put up there, and ensure that you are creating lot of pictures and certain outstanding patterns so that your understanding will be better. So this is something which you could also come up with. So these are all the ideas which I would like to present to you. So say for example, I'm going to create notes of a leader. Let me take Dr. Abdul Kalam. So say I'm going to start with Dr. Abdul Kalam. So definitely we must have a picture of Abdul Kalam. So and then create certain outstanding associations like Abdul Kalam's childhood. So I could go ahead with where he is born and his details of his family and his school details. All these things I could explain here. And then I could also talk about his education. So where did he study, which college he went to, and did he get any of the awards? All these things could be explained here. And then I can go ahead and talk about his career. So as a scientist, so what did he do? So what are his achievements, where he worked? So all the details can be given here. Or then I can also talk about what are the difficulties he faced in his life as he moved ahead. So I could also enlist them here in the form of a small table. And then when it happened, I can create associations like, this difficulty came in when he was a child. So I could just point out here. So the possibilities are endless. You could create the way you want to, but it should be really outstanding and it should be neatly presented with pictures and relevant associations and relevant keywords about the leader. So let me also give you now the inputs about this exhibition which we are going to present. So this exhibition is for you, the instructions are here. So the school will choose a team of 4 students. So every school, a team of 4 students will be chosen. And from 8th standard and 9th standard, preferably 2 from 8th and 2 from 9th. And then you could choose a leader who had done something for our nation. Could be a well-known leader or could be a leader who is not so well-known. Whom you really want to popularize. You could choose any leader of your choice and prepare well with the content that you are going to include in your notes. So that is what you need to do, because the competition is going to happen on November 14th. The exhibition is going to happen on November 14th. So before that, you must be ready with the relevant content about the leader what you have chosen. And as a team, find out how you are working together to create a unique and colorful notes. So work out with your team members and come out with a pattern and how you are going to present it. So be very clear about how you are going to do it. That is very important. So practice well and then decide who is going to work on which part, because you will get about 1.5 hours of time. So you need to really work together to understand which part of this notes will be done by whom. And then on November 14th, we will be announcing the venue. Do bring color sketches along with you. And then once the organizers will provide you a big sheet of paper of A1 size. So then once the time starts, your team will work on that paper to create a beautiful notes using your left and the right brain, and then on that leader whom you have chosen. So the timing is going to be 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. When you will be announced to your school. So at this point in time, all the best for you. So do well in the competition and start using your notes effectively. As I said, the whole brain notes is unique, and I would say it's the ultimate way of notes making. It will help you not only now, but as you move ahead in your college, in your career, every point of your life, this skill is going to help you to excel. Thanks a lot.